Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, we finally got a full trailer, I guess, for Starfleet Academy. It's really just a more detailed, more story-orientated trailer that actually gives us more of an idea of what the season is going to be. Now, the idea of Starfleet Academy is fine. I was never a hater. I didn't have a problem with the idea of Starfleet Academy. I always thought it was a good place to have the kind of messaging and philosophical debates that Star Trek was always, best at doing, as opposed to, action-orientated, adventures where things seem to slow down to talk about the actual morals of the situation, whereas in a classroom that's perfectly fitting. So I always like the idea of Starfleet Academy. The problem with this series is it's set in Kurtzman's post-Discovery 31st century, which is far too removed from today to be relatable. Although they do kind of depict it like it's just the 25th century, not the 31st. And although that helps the series, it makes it less realistic because 1,000 years from now, it's going to be totally different from 200 or 300 years from now. So it's a mess. But the trailer itself looks okay. I mean, the main issue I have with it is that they, of course, set up this small little story with this kid, Caleb, who is taken from his mother when he's young and is lost for 15 years. And then Holly Hunter basically saves him and takes him to Starfleet Academy. And then, of course, this guy who you would think was the bad guy, but he seems to be being captured as opposed to, I don't know, maybe it's hard to tell who this guy is because he's literally being dragged off by people, but it looks like he's the one who took the mother because now he has to find his mother. And it's hard to tell exactly what's happening. But yeah, it's all about him wanting revenge and looking for his mother. And I'm like, that's not Star Trek's story. It's about exploring space. It's about, they seem to be just missing the whole point and opportunity of Starfleet Academy and just focusing on a silly little revenge story and it's just like, we can see where this is going because this is how all the Star Trek series at Kurtzman does go. They have basically a story arc with a villain wanting revenge and they have to beat the villain and they beat the villain and it's not a particularly interesting story because it's not science fiction. There's no, expansion of consciousness or thought or anything. It's just bad guy, beat bad guy, good guys win, bring on the next villain for the next season. It's so it looks just like that. So it's very disappointing that in all of Starfleet Academy and all of the teaching of Starfleet and the Federation and the universe, they couldn't fill a series of 10 episodes. They have to have some stupid revenge arc with a villain. So I was hoping that wouldn't be as much the case, but at least in this trailer, that's what it's saying this series is. Now, so far as the just individual images, because obviously it's a trailer, it's just a bunch of images, the most interesting one to me was there's a girl who is romancing Caleb, and she's saying, I could really hurt people or something. So she's got some alien power, so she's like, who is that one in the X-Men who couldn't touch anyone? Yeah, so, and there's a scene of her, like, screaming in a room. It looks like she's in a room of trebles. Could be some sort of flowers or something. I don't know, but, so she's got some sort of superpower that could endanger people, but obviously will be used to save people and so forth and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, we see the AI talking to the Doctor. We have, I think, one close-up of the Doctor. We see Tilly in a class. Apparently she's only in one episode, and it's like, she was the best thing about Deep Space Nine. How can I get Discovery and Deep Space Nine confused? She was the best thing about Discovery, and that was the best thing about Starfleet Academy, and her moving to the Academy was we thought if we got an Academy series, we'd get a lot more Tilly. But apparently we're getting it for one episode. So, yeah. Apparently it's all about Holly Hunter, and from what I'm hearing, she's really annoying. And from what I've seen in this trailer, she is. There's a scene where she's in her office with Caleb, and she's got her shoes off and her feet up on the desk. She's spinning around on a chair and she's laughing and just being weird. And I'm like, oh God, I can't take 10 episodes of this bitch like this. No. You need to act like an actual Starfleet officer and an actual academic. But no, she's going to be Holly Hunter, I guess, because that's what they hired her for. And I don't know if I love Holly Hunter as an actress. I'm sorry, she's given some great performances, but they do just seem to be variations of her being really trashy. So I don't know where they're going with that character, because some of the scenes we saw of her in the first trailer, she looked like she was like hesitant to sit in the chair. She looked really small and just like she didn't fit there. It just didn't look right. So I don't know where they're going with that character. I don't know if they're going to do anything interesting or not. The other characters, we don't get much time with them. We see one girl saying she has to be a captain, and we have the Klingon basically saying, you know, you don't let your friends go into battle, you know, if you have any honor, and just basic stuff. The lead guy's pretty hot. I don't know how old he is, so we probably can't even enjoy looking at him, but he looks good. He looks the part. I guess he's the lead of the series. He's the leading man. It's hard to sort of tell if it's going to be a real ensemble or not, because they've just focused on his story. Maybe they all have a story. Maybe we'll get a trailer focusing on each of them. I don't know. But the visuals do look good, but it's a trailer. They only have to fill like a minute of them, so that doesn't mean the show itself will look that good. But it is one of the more expensive shows they've done, which is obviously why Paramount's not happy, because they want to reduce the costs, because half the money goes into Secret Hideout's pockets anyway. So if they brought the show in-house, or Star Trek in-house, they'd probably cut their cost by 50% and look just as good. So they could spend the same amount of money and actually look twice as good, actually look like the budget. So I don't know. But yeah, it looks okay as a trailer, except it's very much just, you know, villain revenge, save the day, the good guys win, as opposed to actually learning, exploring, growing something actually science fiction, interesting. Looks more like generic action adventure, you know, CW series. Not that I don't love all the CW series, but Star Trek is supposed to be a little bit more than that. So Kurtzman's never been able to really deliver that. And they're talking about, this is all going to be about science and exploration and learning and all the things that the other series weren't. And it's like, how many times have we been promised Star Trek from a Star Trek show and not really gotten it? So yeah, I'm not that optimistic, but I'm not just hating on it like a lot of other people just because it's Starfleet Academy and it's young adults. And they're all saying, oh, 90210 in space. I'm like, what was wrong with 90210? It was one of the best series ever made. Sorry, fuck you. Still watch it. But yeah, I want to like it, but I've seen a lot of Kurtzman, so I'm just going to wait for the show, which is coming January 16. And the other thing to mention is Stephen Colbert is doing a cameo. He's the digital voice of like the Dean. So I guess they have like an AI Dean or something. I don't know. We do get to see the ship. That is a school, and I don't know if they're going to be taking that up from the planet every day for classes when they could just be beaming people to a school in space. It's going to wear pretty thin and look a bit ridiculous. But I'm not sure. Like, none of us really know how this is going to work. It could be good, but there are a lot of warning signs to say this is going to be a disaster, because Kurtzman's in charge, and the only Star Trek season that really was any good was the one that he stepped away from, which was Picard season 3, and that's the only one that, you know, really did well. So I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic, because I just rewatched Discovery season 1 and 2 and Strange New Worlds season 1, 2, and 3, and they weren't as bad as the haters made out, and I didn't give them a fair, you know, shot really. And a lot of the episodes are actually good. Some are really bad. They have a real polar problem, and I'm worried the show's going to be the same. We'll probably have some good episodes, and then we're going to have some that just slap you in the face repeatedly for being a Star Trek fan, which is what some of the Strange New Worlds episodes do. So, yeah, I'm still talking because I'm still anxious about it, because I want it to be good, but at the same time I don't, because I want them to lose their contract and have someone else take over Star Trek. But considering Skydance is a conservative studio, the chance that we're going to get Star Trek that still resembles Star Trek and doesn't look like some sort of conservative Christian colonizing expedition, I don't know. It's all a mess. But the trailer looked okay. Objectively, it looked really good. Visuals were good. Seemed to have a story, a point, but I'm not quite sure it's going to really hit the mark of Star Trek and really give fans what they want, because Kurtzman hasn't really been able to do that yet. And I'm not sure if he's even really tried, because I don't think he really gets Star Trek. And he seems to think that Star Trek is dead and he needs to make other shows, other science fiction shows for other audiences, because he doesn't think there's an actual Star Trek fan base anymore, or ever was, that was big enough. That's why he sort of wanted Star Trek to be Star Wars. So there's a whole bunch of problems, a whole bunch of, red flags and issues with this series and everything we've heard so far. But just on its own, the trailer looked fine. And I'm trying to be optimistic. And I think I've said that about 5 times. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the trailer and the other trailer and what we've heard from the actors and the producers and everything about the series and how you think it's looking. Because like I said, the idea of Starfleet Academy was a good idea. I never thought it was a bad idea. It's just a matter of if Kurtzman can pull it off in the 31st century. And I think those two things, those two strikes, have already kind of doomed it. But we'll see.